Tanjiro Kamado, just your normal run-of-the-mill dude or run-of-the-mill son. And frankly, he's a big part of his family's life. He's a good kid, a good guy, and just overall just a good person. Everybody loves him. And he would go back and forth to different villages to sell charcoal, help people with chores, and stuff like that. He was one of those people that really could never say no. Now, with that said, Tanjiro was also somebody that would be a hard worker. He works hard all the time, doesn't give up on anything, and continues to basically give his life or his entire being always to his family and always to the people he cares about. That's the type of person Tanjiro Kamado is, and there is never going to be a person in the world that will take that from him. Tanjiro will always be that type of person, but here's the thing. He may be that type of person. He may be an enjoyable person. He may be an extremely genuine person. He may be the best person that people have ever seen in their lives, but it doesn't mean bad things can't happen to good people, and that is the reality of it. Because at the end of the day, Tanjiro Kamado, he is exposed just as much as everyone else, and unfortunately, one day that exposure would come back and hit him in the face. Because out of nowhere, when he's just thinking everything is okay, that everything is fine, that his normal journey to the village would be something simple. He goes down to the village. He goes in to sell some charcoal, and he leaves his family on their own. He's done this on multiple occasions. He's done this multiple times. At the end of the day, all it takes is just one single time, because something happens while he's away. While Tanjiro is helping everybody at the village, helping those that are in need, and then even somebody nice enough to give him a place to stay, Tanjiro would of course take the offer and just go to sleep, because it seems like the guy was worried that he was going out and going to head home in the pitch black of night, thinking that maybe the man is worried for his safety. So Tanjiro decides to stay. He sleeps, wakes up in the morning, and starts heading back up the mountain. But as he heads back up, he would start to get a whiff of something. A whiff of this weird smell. A whiff of this odd smell. And he didn't know what it was initially until he proceeded higher and higher and higher. And eventually, he could smell it. Eventually, he could tell that this was blood. But it was no ordinary blood. He could tell his sense of smell was so great and so good that he could tell that this blood was from his family. He would freak out, sprinting even faster, eventually arriving at his home. But when he would arrive, there would be nothing he could do. Nothing. The person that did this, the person that hurt his family, were no longer there. The person that made his life into what it is now is no longer there. The anger, the sadness, it all comes crumbling down on Tanjiro. But that's until he hears one little creak, one little movement, and he looks to his side to see that his sister Nezuko is still alive. He runs over extremely fast, faster than he ever has, and he picks her up and immediately darts off. He can feel his body like it's complete and utter static, like there's electricity shooting through him in a matter of a split second, but he doesn't know what this is. He can feel himself running just a little tiny bit faster, and he feels something that is surging him with energy, but that's not even in his mind at the moment. All he can think about is saving his sister. He's about to say that, or tell Nezuko that everything is going to be okay, and as the words come out of his mouth, he gets shoved and they fall off a cliff. And as he realizes that Nezuko is awake and they basically got pushed off a cliff because of her, and she begins to freak out on him, scratching and clawing, trying to get to him as if she's trying to eat him like some sort of zombie. But Tanjiro doesn't know what's happening. What's wrong with her? What's going on with her? What is happening? And eventually Tanjiro is able to fend her off to a certain extent, but then someone else would have to swoop in and save her. And that was Giyu Tomioka. Giyu would come out of nowhere and immediately save Tanjiro, swooping in, saving him from his own sister, in which Tanjiro would be in complete and utter shock at this point, thinking to himself that his sister, no, it has to be still his sister. But Giyu makes it very clear that this is no longer the sister he once knew. This is a demon. In which Tanjiro tells him no, that can't be, that he's going to save his sister and he's going to make sure that it happens. And of course, well, it's just not the case necessarily. And Giyu tells him that straight up and straight out, that this is not something he can do. That saving her, this bloodthirsty demon, is not an option. But hey, if he wants to give it a shot, well, he'll have to take it or take her from him. In which Tanjiro would be completely taken back by this statement and think to himself that, I mean, does he even stand a chance with someone or stand a chance against someone like this? There's just no way. How does he take him down? Is there any chance of even surviving this? He doesn't know in his own head, but he's going to give it a damn shot because he needs to obviously save his sister and help her in her dire need. So he charges forward, trying to basically show Giyu something else, as he throws his axe into the sky, trying to land a blow to Giyu Tomioka. But as he dashes toward Giyu, Giyu can see this weird, like, static electricity or like a lightning trail spark from Tanjiro as he continues to gain speed, as he runs quicker and quicker toward Giyu. It's not that much quicker or like, anything crazy, but it's as if he's channeling the power of lightning itself throughout his body. But this lightning is like a tiny, tiny little spark, a tiny speck of that power. And it's as if Tanjiro doesn't really know how to utilize it. And Giyu just looks at it in complete and utter shock. Like, how is this even possible? How is this even a thing? I mean, what is happening? How did something like this even happen to a kid like him? And eventually, well, let's just say Giyu would almost get hit by the axe that Tanjiro threw into the sky. But luckily enough, Giyu was able to dodge it, to an extent, and not relatively easily, but easily enough. And he was able to dodge it and not get absolutely decapitated. And he would look toward Tanjiro in complete and utter shock. Like, how were you able to do that? I mean, seriously, that was absolutely insane. Like, he was impressed by Tanjiro. Not only the powers that he's showing or showing off, but also the acts and the planning and all of the above. So he decides to tell Tanjiro after the fact that he's going to figure this all out, but he thinks he has potential. So after he has to, end the sister Nezuko, he'll take in Tanjiro, maybe give him to Urokodaki. But as he's about to do something, well, Nezuko breaks free, going to Tanjiro, who's basically knocked out. And, well, let's just say she begins protecting Tanjiro. And this would shock Giyu, shock him to his core. And he would immediately think to himself that maybe he misjudged, maybe there is something here that could be salvaged. So he decides to allow them both to live and knocks out Nezuko. And immediately when Tanjiro wakes up, he tells him that he needs to take his sister and go to this mountain where you need to look for someone by the name of Urokodaki. Urokodaki will train you in the art of swordsmanship and the art of a breathing style, but you need to go there now so you can protect your sister and hopefully find a cure as soon as possible. In which Tanjiro is completely shocked by this. I mean, this is something that is insane. There's so much information that he just threw at him, but he makes it very clear that he can't talk much more. There's not much else that he can really say at the moment. And he tells him that if he wants to save his sister, that it's going to be all right here. It all is going to come down to this. So he tells him to do what everybody else couldn't do and save someone they love, and he would take off in a matter of a split second. Tanjiro would take his sister and eventually basically come across certain items and different things that he uses to make sure that his sister can hide from the sunlight, and also darts off toward, well, the mountain that he was told to get to as soon as possible. But unfortunately, he wouldn't get there before nighttime would strike, but this would be the first time he would encounter a true demon. A demon that was truly devouring and killing humans. And this right here was the temple demon. The temple demon would be devouring a human within his little temple, and then would realize that Tanjiro and Nezuko, well, at least Tanjiro respectively, was still a human. So he would come out immediately trying to eat Tanjiro, but immediately out of the distress and all of the things happening, Tanjiro would be able to dodge and be able to move pretty quickly out of the way, quicker than he's ever really moved in his life. And on top of that, Nezuko comes out of the box that she was hiding in, being that it is nighttime, and tries to help Tanjiro during this time. They begin to have a fight with this demon, and it seems like the demon is a pretty tough opponent, and Tanjiro would continue to dodge as the rain would start to pour down on both Tanjiro and Nezuko. But as the rain begins to pour and drop down, lightning would begin to strike. But lightning continues to strike a lot quicker than you've ever imagined. You could hear lightning bolts one after another being smited down over and over and over again. That's until Tanjiro moves out of the way of one more attack and would try to land a blow with some random blade that he would find on the ground. And as he tries to grab this kind of broken blade, at least that's on the ground, he would grab it and swing it. And as he swings it, the lightning would strike the blade as he slices toward the demon, slicing him in half. The blade was like a blur and the demon couldn't even see it. But the demon, he's still alive. The blade was a very basic one, and one that was not made of Nichiren and was unable to actually kill the demon, but it was able to strike the demon with a lightning bolt for the most part, or at least lightning type of manipulation, and was able to injure the demon drastically, even reducing the regeneration that the demon has, but not actually being able to kill the demon, even though he basically sliced off a good chunk, or separating his head from the body of the demon. But luckily enough, someone would eventually arrive by the name of Urokodaki, tying up the demon and making it so that he's stuck all the way up until sunlight. Urokodaki says that he saw what occurred and saw what happened, and he's genuinely impressed. He's never seen someone be able to do something like that, and he asks if he has thunder breathing, or he has some sort of style of it, and Tanjiro has no idea what that even means, in which Urokodaki starts to believe that this must be an anomaly, that this must be someone completely different, because this right here is someone who actually has something similar to a blood demon art, in which this would shock, obviously, Urokodaki while he's even thinking about this, but he can't really tell the kid, like, hey, are you a demon? Like, that doesn't really make sense, but that is a conversation that will most likely come up sooner rather than later, or if it becomes very obvious, which it will. If it becomes very obvious that he's not a demon, then, you know, of course, like, he's not going to just be like, oh yeah, you're a demon. And there's no reason to even conversate about it if there's proof that he's not a demon. Now, he would bring in Tanjiro and also bring in Nezuko and tell Tanjiro about the training, what he's going to go through, and all of the above. And this training would be fruitful for Tanjiro, of course, right? This training would be something that would be amazing, because at the end of the day, he would get stronger, he would get faster, and there's another layer to it because he would begin to learn how to utilize the power of lightning. It seems like he could actually channel lightning even when the weather doesn't even call for it. It seems like the lightning that basically struck down and he was able to kind of channel throughout his body is still left reserved within his body. It seems as if he's able to use it to speed up his movements. He used it to channel through his sword and many other things. He hasn't really realized if it can run out or not, but for the most part, it seems as if this lightning is always basically around him. This lightning or electricity seems to always be kind of stored within his body to a certain extent. It just drains him depending on the circumstance. Because if there is lightning all about, then it seems like he'll probably be able to just utilize it willy-nilly. But he should use that time to try and store lightning within his body, or store lightning in general using his manipulation, which he still is trying to figure out how to do perfectly, but something that could be beneficial in the near future. But with that said, he would go through all of this training, and all of the training would be fruitful, right? He would go through the usage of water breathing, go through all the forms, and he would train with Urokodaki, and his speed, his movement, and the combination of the lightning manipulation with the water breathing becomes something extremely potent, something that is extremely useful on demons. Because when he strikes with his sword, his lightning manipulation combined with his water breathing seems to leave a long-lasting stun effect that would allow him to basically stun demons, or at least electrify them to an extent where they become completely stuck, like they are unable to move. And he's tried this out on some very low-level demons that they've just kind of come across with Urokodaki's supervision, of course. And they were able to basically do so, or basically kill the demons by stunning them and also just sapping them of actually a bit of lightning or electricity, being that there is some sort of connection with that from one's body. But even Tanjiro kind of brings up the idea of this science with the ground, and that maybe electricity and lightning kind of go hand in hand, but he's not 100% sure. This is so new to everyone and such an anomaly that nobody has the answers to any of it. But all they know is that when lightning's about, Tanjiro is at his peak. Now, does that mean he's going to be useless otherwise? Probably not. I mean, he'll probably be useful no matter what if he could store the energy and store the lightning power. But when lightning is striking, that right there is something different. That is a totally different time and totally different power, but that's for kind of a different time and a different manner. But Tanjiro would eventually basically finish his training to a certain extent, and he would be told that he would have to slice a boulder in half, and he would be left to his own decree, and he would just begin trying to slice the boulder over and over again. But this boulder is even stronger than the one in the original, because Urokodaki knows that he would be able to do it, or do an easy slash and defeat a boulder or slice through a boulder very easily using his lightning manipulation that basically expands his muscles, makes him stronger, multiplies what he gets from concentration breathing, and on top of that just multiplies his speed, strength, and all of the above, basically through the use of lightning manipulation through the body. So he makes sure that the boulder is something that would be extremely hard to actually destroy. So he tries to do so, and it just doesn't work. He's actually struggling extremely hard. But this is when two people that are unknown to Tanjiro would show up and begin to actually train with him, teach him, and just flat out make him a better swordsman and a better demon slayer in general. And that would be Sabito and Makomo. But at the time, Tanjiro has no idea that neither of these two are even alive at the moment, which would be kind of a shocking thing that he would learn later on. But for now, he trains with them, learns from them, and eventually is able to slice through the boulder on any day. It doesn't really matter what day it is. It doesn't have to be lightning. It doesn't have to be any of that. He can slice through the boulder easy freaking peasy. And he slices through that thing, and he slices it in half, basically obliterating it into pieces. This would lead to him being prepared for the final selection, in which he would get prepared, get prepped, and tell Urokodaki that he's going to be back, and he promises that, and he's going to be back to be able to take his sister, and he's going to somehow find a way to cure her. He leaves with his stuff and gets ready for the final selection. And as he arrives, there's seemingly 2 little girls standing there and walking up to talk to everybody, explaining the final selection, explaining that's a 1-week process and everything that's going to happen. Now, Tanjiro is just prepared. He's locked in and he's ready to go. And he is just getting ready and getting prepared to take on whatever is to come in the final selection. So when he enters the final selection and they go through, we're talking a full week of all of this. This is something that Tanjiro was ready for. The first initial demon that would attack him would get absolutely butchered in a matter of a split second. It wouldn't even be fair. It wouldn't even be close. At the end of the day, he would destroy this thing and he would make it look like child's play. And this would, in a way, make everyone in the final selection pretty damn shocked and pretty damn taken back by the skill that Tanjiro was able to portray, because they didn't know someone that good was even here. But really, there are quite a few people that are really that good. Now, with that said, we do have a bit of time that Tanjiro has to survive, has to make sure that he's okay, has to make sure, he doesn't just flat out die. But eventually he would hear screaming in one of the days and hear screaming from somebody trying to run away from a demon. And this demon would be the hand demon. And quickly the hand demon would see the little earrings that Tanjiro has on, and he would tell him that he killed and basically ate people that were wearing those earrings specifically, in which this would make Tanjiro extremely, extremely angry. I mean, at the end of the day, these are people that he knew, or well, sort of knew, at least through kind of some ghost thing. And these are people he knew, and it's absolutely pisses off Tanjiro. I mean, this makes him extremely angry, and he begins to charge toward the demon. And while the person is screaming for help and screaming that they should just try to get out of here, Tanjiro dashes from tree to tree as if he's like some spiraling lightning bolt, as if he's this charged surge of water barreling toward this one demon, and he would absolutely spiral through using water wheel, but it looks like he's just a cyclone of electricity and water in a matter of a second, and that's all the demon can imagine, as if it's some sort of cyclone or hurricane charging toward him, and he slices through the demon's thick neck in a matter of one foul swoop. And it's crazy. Everyone that can see this is in complete and utter shock. The glow, the lightning trail, and even everything sparking across Tanjiro, and even the blade is basically just completely covered in electricity and lightning shard like basically bolts, and he would be just completely in complete and utter static. His hair slightly raised from his normal hairstyle, and it seems as if, well, he flat out killed this demon just through crazy means. Like, this was an absolute insane way to approach it, and frankly, he looked extremely good doing it, and everybody is just in shock that he was able to easily defeat this demon. And of course there's gonna be other demons throughout this time, and they're able to defeat them for the most part, able to defeat the other demons and so on and so forth. But here's the thing: the demons would fall, and everybody who is there for to an extent, would actually pass. But not all of them would be truly ready. But there's one person there that has been watching Tanjiro this entire time by the name of Kanao. Kanao has been watching Tanjiro like a hawk because she's heard about this person, heard from Shinobu that this person has the ability to wield lightning itself, but it's at a very premature stage. But she has no idea what that even means in terms of, does that mean he's like has basic usage of it, or it's a premature stage, like he could barely use it? But at the same time, she just watched him absolutely butcher this guy because of basically that lightning manipulation, and it was extremely impressive. Of course, she wouldn't say that flat out, but this is something that she has in her mind, that he might be a little bit further along than people could imagine. Now, everybody would basically get ready to get their oars and stuff like that, and you would get the whole thing where Genya is a complete asshole and grabs one of the what seems to be little girls but aren't really girls, like little girls. They're actually like they're not that young, but yeah, they look like little children. But you know, he obviously goes and like basically grabs one by the head, and immediately Tanjiro like grabs him and basically tells him to stop, or he's going to basically snap his arm in half. And he, you know, bails off. Tanjiro would basically smell the Nichiren ore and grab it and just take off before anybody else can say anything, because all he can think about is getting home or getting back to where he needs to be, to Nezuko, and also don't forget Urokodaki, who's going to be extremely happy to see that he's actually alive, right? To see that he's alive, well, and actually won this battle, or won against the final selection, which anybody who cares about him would definitely be extremely happy about that. Now, this would lead him back to Urokodaki's place, and Urokodaki, of course, would be happy to see him. They would have everything prepped for Nezuko, and eventually they would send off the Nichiren ore. After they send off the Nichiren ore, they would get it back in a term of a blade, and Tanjiro would now have his first blade that he's ever had. But when he grabs it, let's just say this blade is something different than you could possibly imagine. When he grabs the blade, the Nichiren begins to form into something different. It's as if it's a solid object, but it begins to be transparent, as if it looks like it's glass. Like the blade itself looks so clear that you can see through it. And it's still there because they touch it, but as Tanjiro goes to touch it, it lights up with lightning and electricity, and electricity forms the shape of a sword. The blade is still there, the clear blade is still there, but it's it's like static electricity or lightning consumes the sword, and that is now his blade. Tanjiro is in complete shock, and they ask him if he can turn it off or not, and Tanjiro would wave his hand over the blade as the electricity or lightning would dissipate, and the clear blade or the transparent blade would be slightly more visible, as if it's slightly cloudy of some sorts. Everybody there would be in complete and utter shock, and this is something that the swordsmith would have no idea what it's on about. He would have no clue what this even means and what this thing could actually do. He actually is so freaked out that he kind of just takes off. He says that he hopes he never breaks his sword because he doesn't want to ever see this guy again, because that's scary. And he would take off, and Urokodaki would tell Tanjiro that with this weapon, with this strength, that it might be something that they really need for the future. This right here might be something that would take on a totally new form in the future of this entire world. That he might be the next step in evolution for demon slayers themselves. This would shock Tanjiro completely, thinking to himself that he feels like he's nothing special, but Urokodaki makes it clear that he needs to stay training hard, work hard no matter what, and keep on the path of being a demon slayer. And most importantly, don't die. He points at Nezuko as well, and don't let her die either. Tanjiro would put on his little backpack of some sorts, or the box for Nezuko, and he would tell Urokodaki that he doesn't plan on dying, at least not until his sister Nezuko is exactly the way she used to be, as he waves to Urokodaki and tells him that he'll be seeing him soon, and that, oh yeah, tell Sabito and Makomo thank you for the training. Urokodaki wouldn't even be able to stop him before he leaves, as Tanjiro would walk off ready to go with his brand new sword, and he would think to himself that Sabito and Makomo, well, they're not alive anymore. They haven't been for a long time. How does he know who they are? In which he would begin to shed a tear, signaling to himself and us as well that it must have been the spirits of them helping this gifted child, this gifted demon slayer that may transcend us into a new era of this world. But for now, that is the end of What If Tanjiro Had Lightning Manipulation Part 1. Tanjiro Kamado is about to go on his first mission as a Demon Slayer. But everybody knows that his journey as a Demon Slayer is going to be different than everyone else's. As he wanders the areas and he travels to this small little town, little village, very similar to the one he used to help all the time, he would actually just wander around a bit. He would look around, see the people, and just see what's happening. But when he truly actually begins to speak with these people, truly begins to speak with the people that are in this town, he would hear about some things, and he would see some things. Something about some sort of anomaly, maybe some sort of demon that is actually capturing women and taking them and basically making them disappear. And this is something Tanjiro is very concerned about, and begins to talk to the men who are talking about this, and he tells them that he's gonna figure out what's going on, and he's going to make sure to handle it so that everybody else is safe in this town or in this small little village. Everybody hears this and they're not exactly sure if they should believe him, like, you know, that he's going to be able to actually help people or save people or, you know, save them. But still, I mean, what else are they supposed to say? I mean, this is definitely something that they could hope for in terms of maybe they truly can help, or maybe he can truly help them. So that's exactly what they're going to do. He's basically going to help them as much as possible. And of course, Tanjiro does just that. He helps them. And when nighttime would eventually approach, his blade would begin to glow, and it would begin to glow with this lightning-like effect. And everybody who sees it actually is pretty shocked. I mean, a lot of people are just chilling in their houses though, so it's nothing too insane or anything like that. But they see this and they're like, whoa, what the heck is that all about? Like, what is happening? What's going on? And of course, Tanjiro begins his hunt for the demon. Now, it seems as if he continues to look for this demon, and he has a hard time actually running across him. But luckily enough, and eventually, he would come across exactly where this demon is, and this demon would be the Swamp Demon. The Swamp Demon would approach Tanjiro and actually look to kill him as quick as possible. But obviously Tanjiro and his skill and his speed and his strength, I mean, it's not going to be an easy thing for anybody to defeat Tanjiro. I mean, Tanjiro literally and immediately basically can fend off the Swamp Demon. For the most part, the Swamp Demon doesn't really stand that much of a chance against Tanjiro, and he's able to, for the most part, fend him off very easily. But on top of that, the Swamp Demon would begin to replicate himself, making duplicates, and Tanjiro would channel more lightning within his sword, making his entire blade, again, completely transparent. And as the lightning blade would strike one of the demons, it would electrocute the demon and spread off to the other demons or the other clones that the demon is making. Tanjiro would slice the head off the demon almost instantly after the giant stun that was created with his lightning blade. And the demon, let's just say, he's in complete and utter shock. Like, seriously? This kid could do this? Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, how is he able to do that? I mean, he has something similar to a blood demon art. How is he able to utilize a blood demon art and he's not even a demon? This makes no sense. In which, of course, it's not a blood demon art, right? Tanjiro's not utilizing a blood demon art by any means, but it is very similar to a blood demon art, or at least seems to be similar to a blood demon art. And this would allow Tanjiro to easily defeat the demon that is trying to kill him. And let's just be honest, this is a very simple fight for Tanjiro, being that he could use the swampy or like the water-like effects to his own advantage, eliminating the demon in one foul swoop, electrocuting and stunning his body entirely, and slicing him into little pieces. But before the demon can actually, you know, die and croak away, Tanjiro is able to save the other woman that was captured. But all the other women, unfortunately, well, let's just say this, they're kind of in a better place now. But at least this little village will never have to worry about this swamp demon ever again. At least that's the bright side of it. Tanjiro would go on to tell everybody there in the village that everything is okay now, that everyone's going to be safe. And he knows that they mourn over the people they lost, but just understand that they all need to come together now. That especially in a time of need like this, they all need to have each other's backs. Don't turn against each other. Don't turn each other away. Please help each other. Now, I will admit, some people would tell Tanjiro that he doesn't understand the magnitude of their loss, but Tanjiro tells them that he's lost a lot. He's lost his family for the most part, and basically wasn't there when they all, well, kicked the bucket. And it was all because of some unknown monster like the one they're talking about. Just like the one they're talking about. But his monster is something that will follow him for a long time. And everybody in the village hearing this would be completely shocked, but would have a completely different respect for Tanjiro now, being that he suffered through it just like them, but now he's doing something about it. Something to stop it. And it seems as if this blade he holds is exactly the answer to stopping whatever's to come. Now this would lead to Tanjiro's next mission, and a crow would be telling him that there's a mission up and coming, and basically it's in a city that for the most part doesn't really sleep. They have a lot of nighttime activities, so it would be a good place for a demon to at least kind of go camouflage. Now, in terms of actually eating any humans there, it would be kind of tough, because at the end of the day, they are all awake all the time. So why would a demon go over there and try to blow his cover and basically sound off the alarms, right? And it would be a horrible idea. And Tanjiro would think about this as well and think that this was, that would be a horrible thing to choose. But what Tanjiro doesn't understand is that he's going to be running into somebody that he didn't think he'd run into for a while, and that would be the one and only Muzan, and the one and only person that killed his family. And this would shock Tanjiro to his core and make him feel something that he hasn't felt in a long time. When he would arrive, he would catch the whiff and the smell of Muzan, and he would dash off toward him with his sword, lightning channeling around it, and he could even feel the weather itself slowly but surely change. Tanjiro would run over and grab Muzan by the shoulder and turn him. And as he's about to look him dead in the face and about to slash at his neck as soon as possible, he sees there's a child in his arm. And then he sees a woman asking if everything is okay. He's confused. What is this? I mean, seriously, no. He's playing a role. He doesn't know. Tanjiro is deeply confused, and he says that he knows who he is. He knows what he is. And he promises that he will be the one to defeat him. He will be the one to avenge his family, and he will make sure that that's the case. And of course, Muzan wouldn't say much at all, thinking, oh, maybe the kids, are you alright? Maybe you're losing it a little bit, something like that. In which Muzan would turn a human into a demon instantly, and just to get Tanjiro off his case. And it would force basically Muzan and his fake family to go away, at least in the meantime. Tanjiro would defeat the demon that begins to attack him, and defeat him extremely easily. But as he looks up, he can see that Muzan's family is in the distance, and he knows that there is no point in chasing and no point putting everybody else's lives in risk just because he wants to have that grudge match with Muzan. He knows that he should wait. So that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to wait. And yes, it hurts to a certain extent because he wants it so badly. He wants to hurt him so badly for what he did, but he has to hold off for now. But someone else would approach him, and this person that would approach him would even be a demon himself. And his name is Yushiro. Yushiro would be somebody that is interesting. Tanjiro would speak with him briefly, but it wouldn't be anything really informative, at least not at the moment. Yushiro would tell him that Lady Tameo wants to actually speak with him, like, now. So he's kind of confused by this, because why is this demon, an actual demon, being kind of friendly? I mean, seriously, it's kind of an odd thing, but I don't know. Maybe he's he's changed. Maybe he's not a demon that you would think he would be. I don't know, but he is a little bit different. And he's actually decides to follow him, or follow Yushiro, and eventually he would meet with Lady Tamiya. Lady Tamiya would speak to Tanjiro not only about his powers, but about his sister. His sister being so much different than any other demon they possibly have seen. Because they even explained that they have intake blood, just a little bit from sources that were donated and stuff like that. So they're not hurting anybody, and she promises that. And also says that it's weird that Nezuko herself doesn't actually eat or drink blood. Now, this is something that is interesting to her, and she says that she might be the actual, next step in trying to get an actual cure for the demons themselves, which would be kind of backwards, because we are talking about his little sister who became a demon and now has the chance at curing demons. But still, Lady Tamiya tells him that if he gets the blood of the 12 Kizuki, that there's a good chance that she can actually cure his little sister from being a demon. And this is like music to Tanjiro's ears. At the end of the day, this is what he's been seeking, this is what he wants, and this right here is what he's been wanting for as long as he can remember, for the last couple of years. Now that he has that chance, he's not going to allow anybody to stop him. And even the demons that come hunting for him right now, sent by Muzan, will not stop him. Susumaru is the first one that actually shows up with her vintage ball that she kicks at people. Now, this is something very simple to Tanjiro, and Tanjiro, having compassion and all of those things, he would ask them, or tell them that they have one chance, one opportunity to just leave. Now, the other demon by the name of Yahaba would make it very clear that their mission is to kill and end the life of Tanjiro Kamado. And Tanjiro himself makes it very clear that will be far, 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 far more complicated than he could possibly imagine. And in one strike, he would slice the air. Tanjiro would slice through the air, and a wave of this lightning bolt electricity would come surging all around. It would come slicing toward both of the demons. And as it does, it would connect with the first demon's neck, slicing it clean off. And of course, the demon initially would think, oh, well, this isn't going to kill me. This isn't a part of, a blade of some sorts, or part of the sun. But what they don't realize is that it's all an extension of Tanjiro's blade. And in a matter of one foul swoop, he combines the act of water breathing and his lightning manipulation, killing one of the demons instantaneously. Now, this would lead to Yahaba immediately taking the fight to Tanjiro as soon as possible. But with the help of Lady Tamiya, with the help of Tanjiro and Yushiro, and also Nezuko, he stands absolutely no chance. But frankly, he didn't stand a chance against Tanjiro at all, as he continues to show exactly how potent his lightning is, as he raises his sword to the sky, and his sword would grow bigger and longer, and immediately he would slash toward Yahaba, slicing halfway through his body, slicing him from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet, and then slicing his head clean off his body with a giant X, kind of like an X shape with lightning. And it's something that he couldn't even react to. And he would mutter that this is insane, that he can't have a blood demon art. He's not even like us. Tanjiro would hear this once again, holstering his weapon. And of course, Lady Tamiya would question if it is a blood demon art, and if he is somehow a demon that they can't sense. But Tanjiro shakes his head, that he's never had this power until the day his family passed on. But maybe he did have it stored within him, and it just was unknown to him for so long. But no, he is not a demon. He's not even close to one. In which they would say that they understand, and of course they would basically tell Tanjiro exactly what needs to happen, what they're going to need to do, and so on and so forth. And eventually Tanjiro would set off with a new mission to get blood from the 12 Kizuki, but also to go on and save as many people as possible. But before he could actually save, all the people with actually a mission on the upcoming mansion, he would actually run into somebody by the name of Zenitsu, who is absolutely annoying a girl, and he's begging, "Oh, please marry me," and he's like crying, and he's sobbing and stuff like that. And of course, Tanjiro tells him to stop all that, like leave the girl alone. She doesn't want to marry you. Like, it's pretty obvious. She's uncomfortable. In which Tanjiro drags him away and says, "Well, it seems like you don't want to listen, so you're gonna go on a mission with me." And of course, Zenitsu does his vintage, like, "No, please, I don't want to die," all that good stuff. And yeah, I mean, he still gets dragged away, and Tanjiro tells him that he's not gonna die, that everything's gonna be fine as long as they stick together. So that's exactly what they're going to do, stick together. So they head off and they stick together for the most part, or the best they possibly can, and they head off to this so-called mansion, running into two little kids that are basically begging for help for the most part, and they say that their brother got trapped in there and stuff like that, and eventually they would enter the mansion. Now, this would lead to them getting split up for the most part, and would lead Tanjiro to taking on somebody by the name of Kyogai. Kyogai himself is actually a former member of the 12 Kizuki, so he's pretty damn impressive in terms of power, but not so impressive that, he would blow you out of the water, you could even say. But Tanjiro's increased speed and his ability to basically utilize lightning, or at least within his sword at the moment, would allow him to have a massive advantage over Kyogai. I mean, Kyogai would begin spinning the room, changing the locations, but Tanjiro's fluid movement would allow him to keep up very easily, dashing from stop to stop and easily being able to close the distance. Kyogai would be in complete shock. I mean, he's seen this guy before, but it's not through him, it's through other people. And wait, even Muzan? He realizes that even Muzan has seen this kid, and he is terrifying. Tanjiro electrifies the entire room, just engulfs it in this lightning-like electricity, and begins to just dash at Kyogai faster than he could even read with his own eyes, realizing that the speed of Tanjiro on this level right now, maybe even faster than some of the higher level demons than they could possibly imagine. But Tanjiro doesn't even know what kind of level he's truly at, because all he knows is the level of the demons that he's facing to a certain extent. So he dashes toward Kyogai, being able to dodge everything very, very easily, and he slices his head off instantly. Hearing that he's a member of the 12 Kizuki, this is something that he wants to do very, very quickly and very, very swiftly, something without hesitation. So that's exactly what he does, without hesitation. Getting the blood from Kyogai, and then out of nowhere, a guy with a boar mask just shows up through the top of the roof, and he says that he's here to fight all the demons, and then he would see that the demon is already dead. In which Tanjiro says that in another room, or in the other rooms, there are other demons, so if he wants to go check those out, feel free. Look out for a little kid as well, just in case. Inosuke, or who we are eventually going to be introduced to as Inosuke, would immediately just dash off and say that he's going to kill twice as many demons as the guy that he just met, in which Tanjiro just kind of shrugs this off and thinks, alright, I mean, that works, I guess. So he would then look for Zenitsu, unable to find him, of course, and then he would eventually arrive outside. He would arrive outside, and he would be there before everyone else, and Zenitsu right after, and then Inosuke as well. Inosuke would come out, and basically Zenitsu as well, and they would have saved all of them, but they would have saved the little boy, or the little kid, that was trapped in there too. Now, this would lead to a bit of a confrontation with Inosuke himself, being that Inosuke can sense and smell that there's a demon within that box. Tanjiro tells him to back off, that this demon in this box is not your ordinary demon. This is not only his little sister, but also a demon that doesn't feast on blood, in which Inosuke would not be hearing anything and would still try to attack the box, in which Tanjiro would immediately clash swords with him, and as he does, a spark of lightning would just electrocute immediately Inosuke, zapping him to the ground. And Inosuke would mutter some words saying that well, that did not feel good by any means. But eventually Inosuke would get up and would actually listen to reason, telling Tanjiro, or well, he would call him Copy Banjiro, and he would tell him that he's going to get him back next time, and he's going to get a power even stronger than this little lightning thing he has going on. In which Zenitsu would even ask about this. I mean, that's amazing. How is he even able to do that? I mean, he utilizes thunder breathing, but thunder breathing itself, I mean, it doesn't create any source of lightning or anything like that. In which Tanjiro just says that it must have been a gift from the gods of some sorts. He has no explanation of how he gained this power, but he would love to see some skills of thunder breathing because it might fit him even better than water breathing itself. In which Zenitsu would be a little bit embarrassed, but he would say that he only knows one form, unfortunately, so he wouldn't be that good of a teacher. In which Tanjiro would pat him on the back and say that one form is better than none, and he looked pretty damn good if he was able to get out of the mansion alive with actually defeating villains and defending a child. So it's pretty impressive. In which Zenitsu would be pretty happy to hear this, and he needed that supportive and that boost of morale. Now, they all three would head off, and they would have a bit of a rest stop, which they would kind of, hang out, chill, eat some food, and then wake up the next time and be ready for another mission that would lead them into the mountains. Now, this mission would be actually a mission leading them to a mountain full of actual demons, and a lot of them, a family of demons, frankly. And on top of that, don't forget, this mountain is littered with demon slayers as well that are complete and utterly captured and just under distress in general. This is Mount Natagumo, and Mount Natagumo has a lot of layers to it, in which the very, very start of it, of course, Tanjiro is confronted with all of these demon slayers that are all lined up on strings and stuff like that. But luckily, in one foul swoop with his lightning blade, he's able to incinerate all of the strings. So like from the core, even including the spiders that would replicate them and all that, he would incinerate them all. So that would be perfect, at least for the moment, and he would be able to kind of just go about this whole event pretty simply enough. And he would obviously eventually encounter someone like Rui, but this wouldn't be the time for him to fight him just yet. He would see him in the distance, and that's kind of about it. Now, he would eventually encounter the mother spider demon's doll, who actually doesn't even have a head, which is a little creepy. But of course, they're able to incinerate the webs that are controlling it, and also Inosuke is able to saw down past and through where the neck would have been, or at least kind of from the bottom of the neck down, and he's able to defeat the demon in a pretty quick fashion, leveling himself up next to Tanjiro because he obviously wants to show how good he is to Tanjiro and show that he's impressive just like him. Tanjiro and Inosuke would eventually take on the mother spider demon, but this fight was not one that is going to be hard at all. Tanjiro in one foul swoop is able to defeat her, and luckily enough gives her a very peaceful ending, something that was quick like lightning, but it was smooth like the water, and that's exactly what he did. He could tell in her eyes that she didn't want to do this, she didn't want to deal with this, and she didn't want to go through all of this pain and cause all this pain and suffering, and luckily Tanjiro was able to give her a clean and swift ending. Now, Tanjiro and Inosuke's next fight would be the Father Spider Demon. And the Father Spider Demon, well, he's a big fella. But luckily enough, since Tanjiro is a lot quicker, he's not caught off guard by the Father Spider Demon. And he's able to actually stay with Inosuke, and together, they're able to actually defeat him. Tanjiro himself is strong enough to actually take on the Father Spider Demon, and with Inosuke's help, and Inosuke who is way more passionate about trying to keep up with someone like Tanjiro right now, well, it's a not, I wouldn't say pretty easy, because this Father Spider Demon is pretty damn durable, but he is more easily defeated because he has the help of Tanjiro and a far stronger version of Tanjiro. And as lightning would stun the Father Spider Demon over and over and over again, as it weakens his regeneration over and over and over again, a clean shot to the neck would defeat the demon, as Inosuke and Tanjiro would slice through them with the beast and the lightning, and it would defeat the father spider demon right then and right there. But as he's defeated, someone else is watching, and someone else drops down from the trees as he actually realized that this fight was going longer than he expected. This is Rui. Rui is the true main boss of everybody here, and Rui is truly the main antagonist that they're going to have to deal with. Rui is part of the 12 Kizuki and the strongest demon of them all. This may be his family, but his family are a bunch of slouches compared to him. Tanjiro would ignite his lightning blade once again, showing Rui exactly what these other demons had to face, in which Rui's eyes would be a little bit shocked, but he would look toward Inosuke, saying that he has no place in this battle. But still, if he decides that he wants to fight alongside his comrade, then he will die with his comrade as well. I mean, truly, they are just a bunch of wastes of a human body, and frankly enough, they would be a lot better suited as a demon anyways. Tanjiro would chuckle at this a little bit and tell him that if this is how he treats his family, that as if they're disposable and unworthy, well then I don't think I would want to be a part of that family at all. In which Tanjiro makes it very clear that Rui is going to fall here today, and it's out of necessity. And this fight, well, he's going to fight like it's the last one he'll ever have. Rui would tell him that it truly may be and probably will be the last fight he ever has, so he better be ready. Rui would extend his webs, ready to consume and basically obliterate the area, and Tanjiro and Inosuke, and also a Nezuko who jumps out of the box as well, are ready to fight Rui, the lowest, well, the lowest member of the 12 Kizuki. But that is for the next part of What If Tanjiro Had Lightning Manipulation. Now we have Tanjiro, we have Inosuke, and we have Nezuko facing down Rui. Now this fight is one that looks spectacular, and one that Inosuke is pretty much outclassed in for the moment. And that's something he's going to have to deal with very, very soon. Because when Tanjiro dives in to try and take on Rui, the speed and pace that he begins to put on Rui is one that is so much faster than most could possibly imagine. Tanjiro's speed seemingly continues to increase and more as the fight continues on. Nezuko, with her demon abilities, helps out Tanjiro as much as possible. Just try to, keep Rui away from him to a certain extent, or, actually take a couple hits that maybe Tanjiro wasn't ready to take, and her regeneration helps her drastically avoid any massive amounts of damage. Tanjiro utilizes a lot of the breathing forms or the styles that he has from water breathing, and continues to his onslaught as electricity and lightning strike all around him. But this is when things begin to shift in the favor of Tanjiro drastically, because the sound of thunder would begin to shatter and clatter off the sky, and it seems like lightning itself and the sword's power begins to get channeled even more, and the lightning and static and electricity surrounds Tanjiro as his hair begins to spike up slightly, and as his movements become sharper and faster and faster. Rui has no idea what's happening, and frankly, it is something that is shocking him to his core. Rui does not know how this is even occurring, but he tries his best to use his own blood demon art to try and defend himself against Tanjiro. But in a matter of a split second, the blood that basically has been dripping from Nezuko begins to light ablaze, disintegrating the strings or the webbing that Rui was able to make. Rui's realization that Nezuko has leveled up and also gotten stronger besides Tanjiro as well, it is something that shocks him extremely bad. Inosuke would watch all of this unfold as Tanjiro would immediately dash toward Rui, spinning and twirling and eventually slicing toward his neck. Rui trying to save himself in a matter of a split second, but before he could even save himself, well, let's just say something happens that nobody would expect, and that is the awakening of, well, Tanjiro's utilization of sun breathing. The lightning has guided him down the pathway of copying the movements of his passed on father, and he has now awakened the Hinokami Kagura, and now it is over for this demon. Rui doesn't stand a chance as lightning and what seems to be flames, or the trail of flames, and this burning desire to defeat him trails with Tanjiro. But all Rui can see is the image of Yorichi himself basically spinning and dashing toward him, as if this is a different version of what Muzan feared so much. The flames may not be real, but the lightning itself is true. And he dashes toward Rui, and in one foul swoop, he slices through Rui's neck, cutting it in half as the lightning shocks through Rui's body, and a lightning bolt would come from the sky, shocking straight down on top of Rui as he just eviscerates into dust itself. Tanjiro stands there as he holsters his weapon, holstering his sword once again, but as he does, the lightning would channel throughout his entire body and then settle within him once again, as if he just found a new way of channeling the lightning that he's able to manipulate, and a new way to gather even more strength than anybody could possibly imagine. Now this would lead, and eventually lead, to Shinobu and Kanao and many others like Giyu showing up once again. And as they show up, well, they see that Tanjiro has things completely and utterly handled. And on top of that, well, let's just say there's a bit of an awkward tension, because immediately when Kanao sees Nezuko, she dashes toward her to actually end her life. And immediately Nezuko would go really, really small and try to run away on the orders of Tanjiro. And Tanjiro would immediately slash toward Kanao, clashing with her blade, and Kanao can feel the power that surges through Tanjiro and the lightning that is carrying him forward. The fight would begin as their blades would clash and smash against each other, and lightning can be heard like gunshots from very, very far away. Giyu Tomioka would begin to head over in the direction as Shinobu closes in on this direction as well. But here's the thing. Everybody is in complete shock at this point. Who is actually fighting? Who is making all of this ruckus? Who is making all of this powerful, like, kind of loud noises? And they realize that it's two demon slayers that are supposed to be on the same side. Now, Shinobu tries to stop this. Shinobu actually tries to flat out, just stop this on her own, going to attack Nezuko, but then also attacking Tanjiro too. But Giyu would also get involved. It's not until a crow would begin to sound and speak to them and tell them that Tanjiro and Nezuko are to be left alone and allowed to basically go on and not be harmed in any way. And that's exactly what happens. Tanjiro and Nezuko are not harmed, in any way. And of course, we are now dealing with something completely different. Really, it's something not many people have dealt with ever. More specifically, the people that are currently there. They have never seen an actual demon that doesn't go out of its way to devour, to kill, to hurt, and none of the above. They are dealing with something that seems to be 1 in a million, if not impossible. But this is obviously completely countering the impossible. So they would all head back to the Hashira mansion, and this is when everything kind of flips the script. Because a lot of the Hashira disagree with the fact that they should even allow a demon to actually be here. And there's a lot of disagreement, a lot of agreement, some agreement, really I should say a little bit. And there's a lot of arguments and stuff like that. And eventually it leads to the Wind Hashira actually going face to face with Tanjiro. And this is something Tanjiro is not having, because he threatens Nezuko and even goes about on at least hurting her as well to a certain extent. And that is not something that Tanjiro is allowing one little bit. An absolute all-out brawl would go crazy between, well, Tanjiro and the Wind Hashira. And Tanjiro would show off skills that many wouldn't even believe he would have in the first place. Tanjiro would show off skills at the level of a Hashira, if not greater, but this is the first time he's really revealing what he's capable of, because he was pushed to the point of no return. He was pushed to the anger that he really needed to crack through that wall. He was feeling remorseful for a lot of these demons. He was feeling bad for a lot of these demons. But this, he messed with his sister and he is pissed. And they go head to head like no other. And the other Hashira watch in complete awe, thinking that this is insane, that Tanjiro and, well, of course, the Wind Hashira are going head to head at a pretty equal level. This is something that shocks them massively, but eventually Giyu, the Stone Hashira, and many others get in the way and basically not allow them to continue on fighting, which is, of course, a good thing, because you don't want them to absolutely destroy the whole area. And when an eventual Ubiyashiki would arrive, he would shut it all down, tell them that Urokodaki has vowed to basically Sambuku himself, if this girl by the name of Nezuko actually hurts or harms anyone, and he makes sure that basically everything is all set in place so that Tanjiro can continue on with being the brother of a so-called demon. It's scary. It's something that they're not prepared to really handle themselves, and it might be frightening in general, but still, this right here is exactly what needs to be done. And they allow it. They do. To a certain extent, they allow it. And, of course, everyone will stop fighting. Everyone will be all good. And they would make sure that everyone is settled and the fighting would then subside. And now, well, it is a different time to prepare for, because Tanjiro knows that they are now going to transfer in to a bunch of training, a bunch of getting better, stronger, faster, and he's going to learn even more techniques, and this is going to make him even more powerful. And a lot of people there, they believed that Tanjiro was, capable of a lot of the things that he would eventually learn, but he was not capable of a lot of them. He was actually pretty far behind in terms of a lot of them, and now he's going to learn so much from basically some of the trainees, but also maybe even from a Hashira or two. Now, for the moment though, there's going to be just a rehabilitation training for Inosuke, Zenitsu, and for Tanjiro to a certain extent. But of course, we all know that Tanjiro doesn't necessarily need the rehabilitation. His body wasn't exactly hurt that badly or anything like that. So he would be going on missions from time to time, but also training from time to time as well, getting ready, getting more powerful, getting stronger, and all of the above. Now, this would lead them to eventually going on a mission in the near future, but before that, Tanjiro would train with Inosuke, would train with Zenitsu, get them more powerful, and this would even make for them to be even stronger, because the level that Tanjiro is already at. Since he's at a level that is pretty damn powerful and is pretty damn strong, they all know that basically they want to catch up to Tanjiro, that they want to catch up to the person that is basically doing all of these things, that is becoming extremely strong, and so on and so forth. And they know they want to catch up, so they're going to catch up in any way they possibly can, and that's through complete and utter training. So they're going to do that to the fullest extent, and that's exactly what's happening here. Now, with that said, they are dealing with a bit of, or finishing up their training, and then it would lead them to more or less taking on that next challenge, and that next challenge would lead them to a train. Together they would head off to that said train, and this right here is where things would massively change, because, well, the one, the only donut, Rengoku, would be involved in this mission where they would head off to the train and deal with a demon that is taking it over in its entirety. And this demon, well, is known as Enmu. Enmu is taking over the said train, and the experience initially is one that is pretty normal. They hop on the train, they're just relaxing, waiting, and then eventually some demons show up, and Rengoku defeats them in one foul swoop. It's not a hard thing at all for him. He actually defeats them very, very easily. And after he defeats them, well, let's just say they all thought things were going to calm down, but it seems like the demon had plans of its own, putting them all to sleep without actually having any of them realize what's happening beforehand. When Tanjiro would fall asleep, he would begin to see things like his family once again, but this reality was a little bit different, because Tanjiro not only would see his family, but as he's trying to basically take in everything that's happening, his family, his sister, now no longer a demon, and so much all around, he could feel this surge of power going through his body, so much so that the whole entire train around him begins to shake. Lightning begins to strike. The rain begins to pour. The lightning clatters off the train over and over and over again. Enmu, not understanding what's happening, even thinking that this might have something to do with maybe a different demon that is messing with him or something like that. And he doesn't know exactly what's happening, but he continues to kind of truck on, and then he doesn't understand what's happening until he realizes the rumors are that Tanjiro is able to utilize, well, lightning. He's able to utilize lightning in its entirety, with his speed, with his strength, and maybe even strike down lightning on top of others as well. And if that's the case, jeez, that's gonna be a scary thing for a demon slayer to hold capabilities like that. Before Enmu can even make a decision on what he would like to do next, it's as if in a matter of a split second, a lightning bolt would come crashing, and a lightning bolt would then basically tell Tanjiro that something is awry. And immediately he would show up on top of the train, and now we are dealing with a different type of Tanjiro, not just because the training has done dividends, but actually it's because this lightning and thunderstorm has activated him to his fullest potential. This lightning that all came down because of his powers and whatever manipulation he has with lightning, all but culminated within his body during this time, created a giant thunderstorm, and now Tanjiro, without any hesitation, would strike down Enmu. But luckily Enmu's, well, real body is truly involved in the train. But Tanjiro isn't hesitating and isn't going to let this thing go, and he begins to dash through the entirety of the train. The entirety of the train is killing and destroying so many of the different limbs that are being revealed by, well, Enmu himself. And immediately after this is all said and done, and it won't take long, Inosuke, Zenitsu, or at least sort of Zenitsu, would awaken. Zenitsu would still be in his sleepy-like form, dashing around, but he would still be somewhat conscious and not in a spot where he's in a threat of dying. Inosuke would finally wake up, and so would Rengoku, as Rengoku would help with all the tendrils and tentacles that were, clashing and fighting about. And on top of that, of course, they would get a little bit of extra help just in general throughout this time. And we are dealing with, well, Enmu at this point, and both Tanjiro and Inosuke head up to the front, and in a matter of seconds, Tanjiro is at the neck of Enmu and slices through it as a lightning bolt would shatter with his blade and would come striking down. Enmu not even able to react to this, and Inosuke realizes during this time that he continues to fall further and further behind, even though he continues to put even more effort into every single thing he does. And that right there, it's not disappointing for him, but it's something that he needs to figure out on his own, and something he needs to really just put forth even more effort. If Tanjiro is working out and training 7 hours a day, he needs to do 14. If Tanjiro is training 14 hours a day, he needs to do 28. That's the type of person Inosuke is, even if the logic behind it makes absolutely no sense. But after Enmu is defeated, everyone kind of just gets off easy. They're fine. Everything's a-okay. But that's the case until the arrival of the one and only Upper Moon 3, Akaza. Akaza would reveal himself and say that he's here to kill him, pointing toward Tanjiro and saying that it seems that he's become more of an issue to bargain for, or a little bit more of an issue than they would like. So he's here to take out the one with the earrings. Rengoku would initially tell Tanjiro to stay back, but Tanjiro tells him that he's going to need all the bit of health he could possibly get, because this guy is far from a joke, no joke at all, and could be an absolute threat to every single one of them. And if they don't win, well, there's a good chance all of them die right here and right now. So Rengoku accepts the help from Tanjiro, and they both take on the one and only Akaza. They begin to clash with Akaza, and they're pretty damn in sync, both Rengoku and Tanjiro, being that Tanjiro has been around the Hashira just a little bit, so he knows somewhat their fighting styles. And as they clash more and more, it reveals itself to how strong Akaza truly is. But Tanjiro, with his otherworldly powers of lightning, seem to be creeping up on basically stopping Akaza to a certain extent. Tanjiro continues to try and slow down Akaza with more of his lightning manipulation, enhancing his speed and also transferring some of that to Rengoku. As they clash and as they fight more and more, it seems as if, well, Rengoku is realizing the speed advantage that he's slowly but surely gaining. And on top of that, well, Tanjiro is realizing that as well. If he could outspeed, outpace, and just maneuver Akaza to a large extent, they may be able to stall this till sunrise. But his insane amounts of basically regeneration and also his combat prowess does not bode well for Rengoku and Tanjiro. It seems like there's never a way for them to find that killing blow. Every time that string shows up and the death is imminent for Akaza, it goes away in a split second. And that's what he realizes. So Rengoku and also Tanjiro would solely focus on the aspect of trying to stall Akaza, stall him. And the lightning strikes and the electricity coursing through Akaza's veins as it continues to get implemented within the battle helps more and more and more. And it seems to slow down the regeneration and also slows down, Akaza a drastic amount, and it helps quite a bit in the fight, allowing Rengoku to actually take some hits and also take some crucial hits on Akaza, actually looking to defeat Akaza here and now. But Tanjiro and Rengoku would basically confirm it to themselves that, yeah, there is no killing him right now. It's just there's not enough preparation, and there's not enough time for them to figure out a way around whatever reflexes you could call whatever he has. Because whatever he has within, pure speed is not going to allow them to cut his head off. It would take a lot of sacrifice. And Rengoku, let's just say, he's thinking about that right now, in which Tanjiro just wants to stall until daytime. That's his goal. He wants to stall until then. But it seems as if, well, Rengoku's thinking that if they could kill him right here and right now, things could change forever. And of course, yes, that is the case, but they could also kill him via sunlight, in which Tanjiro says this out loud, telling Rengoku that he shouldn't do what he's thinking about doing, that it's too big of a risk. But Rengoku doesn't say a word, and this right here does worry Tanjiro quite a bit. Because soon Rengoku would see an opening and slice toward Akaza, giving his full amount, utilizing his flame tiger, and he would clash and get his blade stuck within Akaza, cutting straight up but rooting Akaza to the ground, as electricity would strike through Rengoku's blade through the manipulation of Tanjiro's lightning manipulation. This is their opening. This is their chance. Their chance to kill, to end, and to truly deliver a crucial blow to the demons is right here and right now. But at least Tanjiro understands and knows that if he does this, this would be by far sacrificing Rengoku. There is no way around it, no way other to say it, but Rengoku would die here and now. But he can hear Rengoku scream to him to take the shot. The only chance they have at defeating a demon of this caliber, to do not waste it. Do not allow this chance to slip. In which Tanjiro would bite and grit his teeth, not wanting to sacrifice a Hashira, but the realization of Rengoku's choices would now come to fruition, and Tanjiro would realize that there are no choices. That there is no choice in this anymore. Rengoku, the elder to him, has made his choice. Rengoku has now made his stance, and he has made the choice of trying to kill Akaza. So the only thing Tanjiro can do is understand the sacrifice that he wants to make and give it 1000%. So that's exactly what Tanjiro does, slicing through Rengoku in a way, but Rengoku would duck as the hand of Akaza would plunge deep into his chest, and immediately Tanjiro would slice toward the neck, lightning and electricity, static all around him, around everybody, completely encapsulating them all, as Tanjiro would slice through the neck of Akaza, and boom, a sound of a lightning strike like thunder smashing against the ground would strike through the neck of Akaza, and as the lightning bolt would fade through his neck, a clean slice would go directly through him, and Akaza's head would come clean off. Tanjiro would stand there seeing that Akaza's hand would slowly but surely pull out of Rengoku's chest. He would grab Rengoku, running away, trying to save him, trying to stop the blood from bleeding, or trying to stop all of the blood loss, but he can't do it. He tells Rengoku to breathe, to utilize the breathing style or the breathing technique that he told him and taught him, but it's too late. Rengoku tells him that it's too much blood lost, too much gone. Tanjiro stands up and shakes his head. If only he could have defeated him already. Defeated him right then and now. He wouldn't have lost a comrade like Rengoku. And as Tanjiro looks up, he sees Akaza standing back up. He would feel shock going through his entire body, but this was not electricity. This was complete and utter the feeling of failure. And he would look at Akaza as he would pick up his own head. And then immediately as the body would try to run toward Tanjiro, it would stop, fall back to the ground, and Akaza's whole body would disintegrate to nothing. As if his body was reacting on pure martial arts instinct or pure fighting instinct. But Akaza understood that that was defeat, and he was never going to allow himself to transcend and go to the next level if he truly felt defeat. Now this right here is the end of part 3 of What If Tanjiro Had Lightning Manipulation. Tanjiro Kamado has defeated Upper Moon 3 Akaza. And at the end of the battle, he walks over to his 2 comrades that sit in complete and utter shock and awe at the power that was revealed to them. And they can see something on the face of Tanjiro that seems to be out of the ordinary. It seems to be a marking that stretches across his face and a marking that has consumed part of his forehead that looks like flames, like red flames, and maybe even the burning passion of oneself. The Demon Slayer mark has revealed itself, and Tanjiro didn't even realize it during the battle. And of course, they ask about it. They ask what happened. They ask everything that occurred. But Tanjiro himself, well, he stands there, stares at them, and before he can even utter a single word, he would collapse and pass out on the ground. A passed out Tanjiro would be taken and brought back to the Hashira mansion, and the Hashira, or the whoever is left over with the Hashira, would then be told exactly what occurred and exactly, well, what happened. That Rengoku, the Flame Hashira, has perished, but there's a silver lining in the stars, and that's that Upper Moon 3 Akaza was slain. The first Upper Moon in a very long time to be defeated, and it's the third strongest of them all. Well, excluding Muzan, of course. Now, this is a monumentous moment, a moment that is going to be remembered forever, and a moment that would even shake Muzan to his core. Because when he would await the arrival of Akaza, and he never would come back, he would have a realization that this Tanjiro person, Tanjiro himself, is more of a threat than he possibly could have imagined. And the visions he saw of Yorichi connecting to the one and only Tanjiro, well, let's just say they were not a fluke. Tanjiro is something that he should fear to an extent, even if it's something that he doesn't want to admit, at least not right now. He doesn't want to admit that Tanjiro is a threat, but he is a massive threat, and it even puts them in a very awkward position for the idea of even eliminating the rest of the Demon Slayers and the Hashira alike. But while all of this is going on, while all of this is happening, Tanjiro is now training, getting prepared, and readying himself for what is next. And what is next? Well, a deeming of him becoming a Hashira himself. They're not sure what he is necessarily. He is a sun breather, but he is someone who yields lightning, so they call him the Lightning Hashira, even though he does utilize the art of sun breathing. But a Lightning Hashira seems to be more concrete with what he's capable of doing. It seems like it's a lot more concrete to call him the one and only Lightning Hashira instead of saying otherwise and saying that he is just the sun-breathing Hashira. Now, with that said, this would put him on a collision course to a brand new time of basically mission with the one and only Tengen Uzui. But the idea of the Demon Slayer mark being awakened a lot sooner is something that everybody is taking very seriously, especially because Tanjiro begins to train with many of the Hashira and many of the other people trying to awaken this Demon Slayer mark. On top of this, when they head off to the mission with Tengen Uzui, this mission is a lot different than you could imagine. This mission, well, it's also taking on another Upper Moon. But here's the thing. With Tanjiro's experience, with his ability, I mean, this Upper Moon is going to be way less threatening than the one and only Akaza. So when they would arrive, when all three of them, when Nezuko, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu go off with Tengen Uzui, Uzui, and they're trying to find this demon within the brothel. After a lot of struggle and a lot of basically trying to find them, eventually they would find the demon. And this demon would be caught because Zenitsu is basically trying to protect somebody, and he would get captured early on. And of course, that's when it would ensue a battle between Daki and Tanjiro. But this fight is one that Daki should fear, because in one flash, when one glimpse of lightning would bolt toward her, he would slice her neck clean off with his lightning blade, or lightning induced blade, and she would collapse to the ground immediately. But Tanjiro would be shocked when he would see that she is not dead from a slice of the head. And this would really shock Tanjiro, him thinking that this is something he wasn't expecting. Yes, don't get me wrong, he did see Akaza like start mildly fighting without his head, but then it was just over. He stopped. So he doesn't understand how this even came to be or what even happened. But now he's realizing that some of these demons have a little extra couple tricks up their sleeves if they're not careful. And this would be when the one and only Gyutaro would reveal himself. Someone who is even stronger than Daki. But with the help of Tengen, and basically with the help of two Hashiras now, having both Tanjiro and Tengen, they battle together, and with their in-sync movements, let's just say Daki is not a problem by any means. And if Inosuke and Zenitsu actually enter the fight, where they're able to hold off Daki for the most part, Inosuke and Zenitsu can take over the brunt of the attack from Daki and make it so it's a very easy 2 versus 1 against Gyutaro. Being that Tengen's able to keep up with him in speed for the most part, and, well, Tanjiro is going to overwhelm him in speed when he gets the opening. And as they both go to slash down the another upper moon, and as they're about to finish them off, Tengen himself would even awaken his Demon Slayer mark as they slice through the neck of Gyutaro, and Zenitsu and Inosuke would look to slice through the neck of Daki. As they're about to slice through her neck, a bolt of lightning would then clash with Zenitsu's sword at the same time, and it would make an even more potent attack, shocking through the entire body of Daki. And as they both get their necks sliced in half, it would be the end of the two brother and sister duo, and another upper moon would come crashing off the charts. And this is where things get shaky for Muzan and all of the demons, because that is another one of the strongest pair of demons they have in the gutter, and gone for good. They realize now that this is a very, very, very interesting spot to be in, and that is a nice way to put it, because at the end of the day, this is something that is very, very bad for Muzan. He hasn't been in a position like this in a long time, especially not a bad position like this since maybe even Yorichi himself. So when all of them go back to the Butterfly Mansion, and of course this would ensue in Tengen actually taking his quote-unquote leave. Of course, this is, he would take his leave, and he would kind of say this is going to be his retirement. And a lot of people would disagree, but he would say they have a amazing new Hashira in Tanjiro. And yes, they are going to lose 2 for 1, but maybe the kid is even better than 2 of them combined in the first place. In which Tanjiro would tell him that he's not going to let him down. He's going to make sure to be the strongest he possibly can be. And a lot of people, well, let's just say, are pretty convinced Tanjiro can be that way. But some of the other Hashira, like Shinobu, even say that if he wants to be, stronger than he could possibly imagine, it would probably be good for him to take a visit to the swordsmith's village so that he can more or less train with some of the things that are over there and get some work in with maybe another Hashira or 2, and so on and so forth. They would bring up that Mitori and Muchiro would actually be heading over to the swordsmith's village as well. And let's just say this is when a lot of things would happen, because this is when they believe, or when the demons believe, is their only true chance at coming and striking down and making this opportunity for themselves, because they've already lost Akaza, they've already lost Gyutaro, and now they need to have this opening to shut down the Demon Slayer's advantage, and even Muzan admits this to a mass degree. So when Tanjiro's over there, he's not there for a new sword or anything like that. He's there to actually train with the Yoriichi Type 0, in which he gets a lot stronger from training with the Yoriichi Type 0, learning more about his lightning manipulation, being able to channel it a lot better throughout his body, and on top of that, makes his experience with sun breathing a hell of a lot better as well. But as always, things that go good will always come to an end, and that's the same thing when dealing with demons. Because as night would strike and as the time would pass, it would now be time for the demons to attack. And that's exactly what would occur. Hantengu and another demon by the name of Gyoko would reveal themselves and would begin their assault on the Swordsmith's village. Now, the Swordsmith's village is pretty damn well protected, being that you have Muchiro, Tanjiro, and also Mitsuri there, and it seems like Muchiro is going to take on Gyoko on his own. So that leaves Tanjiro, Nezuko, Genya, and Mitsuri to take on the demon by the name of Hantengu. But Tanjiro is in a perfect position to take on this demon himself. For starters, he begins by, fighting the normal demon, and of course the demon would grow into different parts of himself. But here's the thing. With Tanjiro's lightning and electricity, it seems as if he's able to actually dismantle the demon a lot quicker than you could possibly imagine. And there's a realization extremely quickly that the real body that they're looking for, the main body, is extremely, extremely small, and Tanjiro is going to have to actually execute that tiny little piece of him, and that's exactly how you would defeat them. Now, after butchering Hantengu and the many manifestations of Hantengu, eventually he would merge, or all of them would merge into a transformation of the true manifestation of the upper four's hatred. And that, let's just say, would be a spectacular performance, at least for him, giving off abilities that have never been seen before with these giant stone dragons. But Tanjiro is not giving in, and he makes it clear that there's a reason why he was a lower rank than even Akaza, because he didn't stand a chance in the first place, in which Tanjiro would dash up with Mitsuri as he would connect his lightning and his static electricity with Mitsuri as well, making her a lot faster and making him a lot faster. And as they reveal their own foreheads, the Demon Slayer mark would reveal itself once again, and they would come barreling and striking down this giant monstrous thing of a manifestation in terms of Hantengu. But Tanjiro would get the information of being told that he actually needs to strike down a specific part of Hantengu, and he's able to actually reach this part of him extremely quick. Extremely quick. So Tanjiro butchers his way through and looks for the opening blow, but it seems like even the dragons, or the giant wooden-like dragons, or the giant stone-like dragons, are not giving up just yet. And it seems as if there's a little last leg of this manifestation holding on for his last bit and his last crusade, as he sends basically this crazed amount toward Tanjiro, trying to stop him from actually killing the true part of him that needs to be shut down. But Tanjiro's speed is too much, and as the lightning would strike down and as lightning would cover the area, which would be a perfect time for Tanjiro to now strike, as he looks to cut off the head of the true part of Hantengu. it seems as if the opening just continues to close on itself over and over again. But eventually he would find that opening. Eventually he would find that timing. But he would see something that he would never expect in the first place, and that's a last hurrah. But that's not from the Demon Slayers. It's not from him, but it's from one of the dragons that was created. And as he's killing the true form of Hantengu, the dragon grabs Nezuko and drags her out into the open area where the sun, as it's rising, would continue to cover her. Tanjiro would immediately run over as he goes to cover Nezuko after killing Hantengu and defeating him with his lightning blade, and he goes to cover her up, trying to cover her from the sun. But as he does, he can tell that parts of her are still getting burned. But then as he sees these small parts of her getting burned, well, then the burns would begin to change, as out of nowhere the burns would begin to heal themselves. And as the burns begin to heal themselves, a realization would come over Tanjiro, and he would realize that his sister is immune to the sun. Now this right here is the transition into, well, Muzan wanting to find exactly where Nezuko is, but with how many of his demons already felled and gone, with Akaza already gone, with an upper moon already gone, with multiple upper moons already defeated and completely obliterated, and the preparation and the skills and the power that Tanjiro is portraying, this might not be enticing enough for him to truly come out of hiding. Muzan doesn't know if they truly can defeat all of these demon slayers, especially with somebody with powers that seem to be on the level of a god gift or a god-given gift. So it's either one of two choices for Tanjiro, or for Muzan to Tanjiro. Does he decide to take the risk and kill all the or try to kill all the demon slayers and be felled right then and there, or does he wait another 100, 200, and 300 years and give them the time to evolve even further? Well, Muzan himself would show his cowardice and would show how much of a coward he truly is, because when Nezuko would reveal what she truly is and the being immune to the sun, Muzan would think to himself that he needs more time, that he needs to wait. But he doesn't know that waiting was all of the wrong choice, because a cure for demons is being created, and the more time they give them, the better the cure gets. And if he decides to show his face anytime soon in the next 20, 30 years, yes, the demon slayers may be gone and they may be vanquished. Shoot, maybe Nezuko would be the only one to survive next to them, or maybe Nezuko would be alive when they're gone. It wouldn't matter, because there are many other people carrying on that burden and carrying that staple, and making sure that if Muzan ever shows up, that the usage of the cure would be put into full effect. And the Demon Slayer, and it's obvious to see that the Demon Slayer strength and disparity would continue on, especially through the bloodline of Tanjiro Kamado. But for now, that is the end of this story, the end of What If Tanjiro Had Lightning Manipulation. And if you enjoyed, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And yeah, I don't really have much else to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the videos, or the video and the videos, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.